As much as a theme framework is a head start for developing a WordPress theme, Bootstrap is a head start for developing a web application. And, by web application, I'm not just talking about the Gmails and the Facebooks and the Twitters. I'm talking about pretty much everything you see on the web. While you might not think of a normal website as being an application, there are common elements across all types of destinations on the internet that some general rules can be used which could apply to a wide variety of different circumstances. That's where Bootstrap comes in. Bootstrap gives you those common elements, so all you need to do is say 9-column box here, 3-column box there, full screen carousel right there, navbar over there. Like WordPress, Bootstrap isn't the only option out there. There are other similar frameworks available, and a lot of fervent discussion about how each one is the best. However, I use Bootstrap for a lot of the same reasons I use WordPress. It's easy to grasp with some simple rules you can latch onto quickly. It's widespread. There's a lot of documentation from the Bootstrap team as well as across the web about how to use it, and it's extensible. You don't have to use everything, you can pick and choose components to use, and you can add new components that work on top of Bootstrap. Besides all that, though, Bootstrap takes the best possible approach to responsive design, developing for mobile browsers first. When mobile-first responsive design was first talked about, I didn't really get it. I thought it was just a fancy way to say design your site for smaller screens first and then design it for bigger screens. I didn't understand that it wasn't just a philosophical movement, a way of thinking about design. It was a technical approach to writing responsive CSS. Rather than putting your media queries at the bottom of your CSS file and making a bunch of corrections as you shrink the viewport after you've designed your site, you start with the generic rules that work on those small devices and you make adjustments as you increase the size. It flips those old style sheets handling responsive design on their heads. And Bootstrap 3, unlike Bootstrap 2, uses this mobile-first responsive design. So anything you build with Bootstrap 3 should look good from the bottom of the viewport bin up to the newest 27-inch Retina iMac. Note, this doesn't exist yet. Building WordPress themes with Bootstrap isn't new. There are now lots of themes that use Bootstrap. But, as I mentioned earlier in the course, I don't like using other people's code. There's always something missing. If you're like me, and that's why you're watching this course, because you want to build your own WordPress theme framework, you're probably the same. So, since I don't really care that other people have used Bootstrap, and those themes may lack things that I want in my framework, Bootstrap can give us a big head start by providing a responsive grid system, some common elements that coincide with some basic theme functionality, like navbars and pagination, and limit the number of external resources needed to make things work. Before Bootstrap, I used the now retired 1140 pixel grid framework by Andy Taylor. I used Formalize to make forms look pretty and look the same on all browsers. I used Son of Suckerfish to handle dropdowns. I used Modernizer as well as other tools to make things look the same across other browsers. If you've been doing web design in the past 5 years and you haven't been living under a rock, this should all sound pretty familiar. All of that external stuff is pretty much baked into Bootstrap, and this means less that I need to worry about. In this module, I'll be using a Google Drive plugin called Edity. All Edity really does is allow you to edit and develop HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and PHP inside Google Drive. Edity has a bunch of built-in workspaces, one of which is for Bootstrap 3, which I'll be using to demonstrate the Bootstrap code and display the result. We'll be looking at a lot of the parts of Bootstrap that will be used in our WordPress theme framework.